Hello, welcome back to Unpacking Endpoint Management. I'm really excited to say that. We took a little break, but we're happy to be back and restarting our monthly series with a special edition live from Tech Takeoff, which hopefully you've all been enjoying over the month of March. We're going to get started with a few introductions. I'm Rachelle. I'm a product manager here at Microsoft in our customer experience engineering team, and I'm focused on community work with our customers. Danny.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh, okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. My name is Danny. I'm a principal product manager in Intune, and I do weird stuff. So that's it.
Aria.
Hey y'all, I'm Aria. It's great to be here, at least virtually. I work on all of our experience and management products, so I own Autopatch, the update experience, and a few other commercial management things.
And last but not least, Joe.
I always have to ask, if I'm not least, then which one of us is least? So I actually think I probably am least. So I am Joe Lurie. I'm also on the customer experience engineering team. On my part of this team, we talk to customers about Intune, how they're using Intune, anything that they would like us to do or that they would like to see Intune start to do as part of my role.
You two guys messed up. Y'all actually told people what y'all do, so sorry.
And I know you are all so excited to be back with Unpacking Endpoint Management. I'm just excited to be invited as a guest. I've been asking to be invited as a guest for many, many, many years, and finally they said, fine, you can join us, but you were
at the top of the list, Joe.
Top of the list. Yeah, the more pull-ups you do, the more you get to come back.
Oh, cool. I'll be back next week then.
I can't do any. Can I leave?
No, you still have to stay. You're more important than all of us, actually.
You need a coach, you know?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, we do have a question, but before I dive into that, anything top of mind from anyone that you want to get out before we dive into Q&A?
Interesting question.
Yeah, and we've been doing this Tech Takeoff for the last several Mondays, and usually we do like Intune and Windows, but we have so many security-focused sessions this time that I would love for you all to go back and watch, like, I don't know, Clay's Zero Trust session from the first Monday, or Adita's Zero Trust DNS session that was earlier today, and all the EPM session, securing Windows 365, securing AI, so many security features. I'm sure sessions, Aria with her security, just part of her role. I just want you to go back and look at all the security sessions, because that's really, I think, more important than anything else that we've talked about all week or for all month.
Yep.
Security being a part of everybody's pretty much day job here and customer-wise. So I'd be interested to hear more feedback about how people are integrating deeper security into their everyday actions, whether obviously I'm in the endpoint management space. So related to how you're managing devices, managing applications, lifecycle, things like that, how you're using security as well as Copilot or AI to help you in those spaces. It'd be really good to hear, understand, because those are things that we want to take back and provide better for you as customers.
Yeah, and sorry, I was just going to say on that note, if you have questions or comments, they can be posted right now at aka.ms/UEM/TechTakeoff2026. Aria, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think some of the top of mind for me is, like, we just launched the Secure Boot reports in Autopatch, which are now fully live in Intune. We also have a bunch of new reporting, because I think for me, one of the things that comes up a lot with security is not even just securing the devices, but visibility that what happened, especially around updates, around applying CVEs, around applying all of these different policies, configurations, the latest boot certificates. And so I'm really excited about some of the new reports that are now live and really hearing admin feedback of what works, what doesn't work. We already have some known issues and bugs. So thank you to the people that reported it. Also, sorry that you experienced a bug. But that's really helpful to enabling us to fix it and get it out there faster. And then on the flip side, the other top of mind for me is how do you balance security with user experience? And I think this is something I know a lot of admins struggle with is like, hey, I've got manufacturing equipment. I need that secure. But also to make sure that my manufacturing lines don't go down or the infrastructure stays running, I needed to only update or do things at a very specific time. And so like maintenance windows is now available in group policy and CSP. It'll soon be integrated into Intune directly as well. That's really helpful for those kinds of behaviors. And then also just a pro tip here, since this is unpacking endpoint management, if you have multiple security clients on your device, you are killing the user experience and making it horrible. And as a user, please don't do that. No one wants a slow device. Have as few as possible to meet your security team's needs.
I love that, Aria. Thanks for the pro tip. I'm going to dive into the first question, but I want to set with a little bit of context. So from this person on tech community, we're actively transitioning from on-prem group policy to Intune configuration profiles as our primary configuration model in group policy. We relied heavily on hierarchy, inheritance, and layered targeting to manage complex and evolving scenarios at scale. And this is the question. From a product and engineering perspective, what are the best practices for designing Intune configuration profiles upfront around scoping, modularity, and ownership to minimize long-term technical debt when new or unexpected scenarios emerge after hundreds of profiles are already in production? Who wants to start?
Danny, rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah, Danny can follow up what I'm going to say. I do talk to customers. I said in my role, and some of my customers have asked the same types of questions, right? In group policy, you have the parent OU or with the site, the domain, but you have the OU and then the child OUs underneath. So and then you have the inheritance, which can be blocked, of course, or forced. And in configuration manager, you have the collection and the child collections. And, we made that fairly easy in the kind of the old legacy way to do things. And now where Intune is more flat, we're relying more on scope tags. We're relying more on permissions. We're relying more on RBAC capabilities to kind of do that same types of things. And when you're talking about, we already have hundreds of configuration profiles. One thing I'd like to ask is why you have hundreds of configuration profiles. Depending on the size of your company, you may want to consolidate some of those. But it is something that we hear fairly often on how am I supposed to do this? And really the way the RBAC, the role-based access controls, the way we do the scope tags and scope groups really should satisfy most of your needs. Go ahead, Danny.
I think you covered the big pieces. The thing that I would say, just from a different perspective, I guess I'll be the first one to peel this onion here, is where do you fit AI into that? Because it seems complex, right? And I try not to be IT Danny again, but if I was, you have hundreds of profiles for whatever reason, right? Whether good or bad, but you have lots of profiles to manage, maintain. Outside of the obvious, right? Being able to keep track of where your policies are deployed, what they impact. I think it's a good opportunity to explore maybe AI and how it can help there. That does sound weird because AI didn't used to be so much a part of our everyday life, but with it being every day, there's no real value in fighting it. So just kind of embrace it and see where it makes sense. So if I had hundreds of profiles, I would probably look at AI, figure out how it could help me maintain and understand what I'm doing with those profiles. Because I guarantee you don't need them all. For whatever rationale you may have for having them now, you should go through some type of process to understand which ones are actually impactful at a broad scale and which ones are impactful from a small scale. Ones that have one or two settings, you should be figuring out how to consolidate those into the bigger policies. I guess a bigger picture, without spending a whole hour talking about this, there's a method to the madness that you just need to kind of figure out. Is there a magic wand you can wave? No. And if there was a magic wand, it is trying to work out what you can do with the help of AI. That's my opinion. That's what I would do.
A good answer. Okay, another question from tech community. Currently, there's a nice preview feature to run remediation scripts manually on individual devices. Is there a way to run a remediation script manually to a number of devices like a bulk action?
I don't know a way. Joe, do you know? I don't know if there's
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a way through multi-device query or device query for multiple devices to do something like that. I don't think there is at the moment. I do like the feedback to do the bulk remediation scripts on demand. I'm just going to say I really like that feedback, and probably will. You go ahead and private message me on tech community because I'd like to hear more about that.
We need to talk to the PM, and then you can get connections. You can connect that person with the right person.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so Aria, what are you most excited about, I guess, that's coming or that has just landed? Like what would be something that you want to shout from the rooftops right now?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that are really exciting. I think a lot of the Ignite announcements are now finally being delivered in terms of whether they're GA or they're part of our private previews. It's really cool to see them going out. And so we have obviously the Autopatch reporting. As someone who's been now doing updates and doing different variations of Windows Update for Business, Autopatch, et cetera, for the last almost decade, it's really exciting to finally see us starting to deliver on the thing customers have been complaining about since day one, which is your reporting absolutely insert word here that is appropriate for a streaming thing. But it's bad. Like, it's so bad. And people won't move from config man. We have people still using the Windows Update for Business reports because they can use log analytics. And so I think starting to see us pull that data and having that data exposed through the Graph APIs and then in Intune is really exciting to me because it's been one of the biggest things missing is how do I see my update journey? How do I see which devices are getting it? And I really love that it's actually modeled somewhat similarly to how we look at update management as Microsoft when we're rolling out to consumers. A lot of the same reports I look at internally to see how the 1.4 billion devices are updating are now very similar UI to the reports you get through Autopatch update readiness. I also like the things like the secure boot reporting, I think is helpful. And then I also think, for me, the things we're building on top of that, like the abilities for admins to go and initiate an in-place upgrade to fix issues, that's in private preview and coming soon to GA. That is super helpful and valuable because then we're really delivering on here's how you manage updates. Here's how you see the updates actually happened when they said they happened. And oh, by the way, if things go wrong, here's something that would fix 80% of those issues. And so finally seeing that life cycle complete, and I'm hoping to keep delivering on that promise.
Yep. You mentioned Autopatch reporting, and we do have a question around that. Where is Autopatch alert and management status data sourced from, and how often is it refreshed?
Yeah, so what's actually happening there is your device has all of the different telemetry signals that are happening on the device. And so we'll actually have those go through the enterprise data pipeline or EDP to ensure that as a commercial customer, your data is your data, not Microsoft's data. We then process that on the server side to aggregate it across your tenant to state. So, hey, you have these devices in Entra, they're associated with your mobile device management tool. We then aggregate across your device all of the different telemetry that's through your area. And again, we have servers in all of the different locations to make sure your data stays compliant with whatever country's locale that you're in. And then that data is then processed and put through the Intune portal. Now, depending on your policies, configuration, and when we're trying to source that data, we can see anything as low as, I think, Intune's policy sync can be configured to be as low as 30 minutes. Most of the data processing is closer to 2 to 8 hours, with 8 hours being the typical results for most of the data. Now, we're trying to make that latency lower and lower and lower. For certain cases, especially for things like update scans, you'll see it take 22 hours. And part of that isn't because of the freshness of the reporting, Part of that is because when you first offer a feature update or a quality update to the device may or may not scan for up to 22 hours before it actually will scan and get the update back. And so you'll see then an additional delay for the data processing after that. I will make one asterisk here because it's very important. We have a known bug on the new Autopatch update readiness reports, which we're actively trying to fix, where people are seeing that some devices are showing up as no data or no telemetry. And so that's a work in progress. We're working to get that fixed. And so you might see longer processing times as those devices come in and out of the telemetry.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, next question. What are best practices for avoiding policy conflicts and sync delays? Who wants to take this one?
Joe,
I'm gonna start by saying I heard from someone just the other day that they really like the Intune MDM wins over GPO. And I'm going to tell you right now, please don't rely on that one. So when you're looking at policy conflicts, don't rely on the MDM wins over GPO conflict. I forget what we even call it at this point, but yeah, don't rely on that. If the best way to handle this is to not create a conflict between GPO and Intune. But if you do create one by, obviously not on purpose, I'm going to go back to what Danny was saying earlier. We actually have some AI ways that you can see if there's going to be conflicts. If you're doing Intune policy conflict against another Intune policy, again, AI can help with some of that. But honestly, don't rely on something like, oh, group policy's got to win because, or Intune's going to win because, or this security feature is going to win because. There's too many variables in that.
Yeah, I would avoid creating the conflicts if you can. Again, if you get, let's just say you step into a pre-existing environment, right? You're going to have stuff you don't know about. So I would say at all costs, do the tool that Joe mentioned to data point. It's not like, don't use it as it's the de facto. It's a data point that it probably eliminates some investigation, but it doesn't eliminate all investigation. You still control the decision. So make sure, trust but verify is what I would say.
If you do want to see a MDM wins over GP specifically for updates, aka a new policy that enables you to do that with high confidence, please let me know in chat. That's something we're considering, but really want to understand if customers would want something like that or not.
Perfect. Back to you, Aria, on Autopatch. Where can we find the Autopatch report endpoints and graph?
Yeah, great question. So one, let me see if I can find you a link to the documentation and put it in so it shows up in the bottom line. But then two, right now, I do want to note all of our graph APIs are in beta. They are not yet in 1.0. Additionally, we only have a subset of our capabilities currently in Graph. We're working on getting everything there, and so you'll see a lot more news as we add additional capabilities over the coming months.
Perfect, and we'll get that link in there. We'll post it in the comments for sure. Okay, next question. I'll admit I'm a little lost on managing apps in a streamlined way. What's the best way to manage Win32 store and line of business apps together?
Okay. Great question. And again, something common because you look at something like, I don't want to mention an app by name, but a lot of apps are available in the Enterprise App Management App Catalog. They're available in the store. They're available as Win32 to package or LOB to package. What's your best method is a lot of it's going to be your personal choice. If you do something from Microsoft Store, let's say I go into I'm in the Intune Admin Center and I go to Apps, Windows, New, and I choose a store app, just know that when you deploy that store app new, it will update automatically as soon as the vendor puts that update into the store. So you have little control, version control on the endpoints. If you use the Enterprise App Catalog, we tell you when there's an updated version available. You can go ahead and push that update. We are working on a kind of an auto update feature, but it's not yet available in the Enterprise App Catalog, though it should be soon. So Win32 apps, you have to package and repackage every time a new update's available. So some of this is going to come down to your personal preference. I would like to think that the Enterprise App Catalog, Enterprise App Management App Catalog, will be utilized even more since we've recently announced that it's going to be part of your Microsoft 365 E5 suite. You don't need it as an add-on any longer starting on July 1st. So you'll have a lot more apps available to you then if you're not using the Enterprise App Catalog today. But to the question, what's the best method of deploying an app? Some of that's going to be your own personal preference. What's available to you? Some of the larger apps aren't available in the app catalog, and they're not available in the store, so you have to do it as an LOB or a Win32 app. And then some of the common apps are available in multiple different ways. It'll just come down to how do you want those updates to come down? How do you want to be able to manage those apps? Again, personal preference is going to be a big part of that. Danny, I think I interrupted you from the beginning.
No, you hit it at the end, right? I would think about more or less the update part. When I'm asked this a lot, I will typically tell people just go EAM first. Not for no other reason, just all the time you used to spend packaging, figuring out what the install command is, uninstall command is. Like, that's very near and dear to me because I'm, again, living in the shoes of an IT admin and working through the other customer side before I came to Microsoft. That is time savings instantly. So the fact that I can instantly save a lot of time, that automatically is appealing. And then when you just think about how methodical EAM is with updates, that would just make me, that's just icing on the cake. The thing I probably would not like about it as much as just it doesn't have all the apps, right? I mean, just realistic, like when I was at hospital or retail, think about all the apps we had. Not every app is in the EAM catalog. To have for a catalog to have all the apps in the world would kind of be unrealistic. But if it has 80%, heck, 70%, 60%, it's still, that's time that you don't have to spend. And especially if you're thinking about transitioning from a configuration manager to cloud or whatever your on-prem solution is, it is very, I'm going to say easy. I know that people are going to debate that a lot, but I'm going to say it's very easy to look at what I have today and figure out a process of what EAM has, what EAM doesn't have, and then take the easy path for what's there. And then the path that the apps that's not there, you can figure out a simpler process to get those into the cloud. So I would, I mean, I could talk about this for a long time being in the app space, but that's kind of my 2 cents.
Aria, did you want to tag on to that with anything, or do we want to ask one more question?
I think I have nothing to say about the app space. I think, first of all, sorry, I know it's hard. But moving quickly away from that, one thing I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of, because I think this is not quite commercial related, but also probably the most fundamentally commercial related thing, is if you haven't seen the blog that Pavan put out last Friday on 319, please go and look at it. What this basically announced was a fundamental quality change for Windows, where Windows is basically saying that we want to improve our quality across some fundamental areas. Things like improving menu, movable taskbar, which I think we're all very happy about, updates, Windows Insider program, a bunch of other areas that are all focused on making sure that you have the controls that you need, as well as the quality, reliability, fundamentals, battery life performance that honestly enables you to be productive on a Windows device. As part of that, we're actually looking to make multiple improvements to updates as well as Windows that benefit commercial a lot. Things like the ability to have folded updates, and updates just reboot once a month, where you basically hold your driver updates and your other updates to this monthly quality update, which is something that's one of the most requested Autopatch features as well. And so I think if you haven't seen it, checking out that blog and also checking out the Twitter, Discord, Blue Sky folks, where we're also trying to engage even more closely, things like this event are really critical. And so we want to hear from you. If you post comments on this of what else do you want to see in the management space? What do you want Danny to go build? I promise you, he personally is just going to go build things. And just how we can further help would be super helpful.
I just want to clarify, when you say 319, US date format, March 19th, that blog released. Worldwide format, there's no such thing as like 319.
1903-2026.
We'll also post all of this in the comments for clarity. Okay, thank you all for joining us today. I know this was a really quick edition, but Q&A will be open through Friday, so you can keep posting questions and feedback all week, and we'll keep an eye on that and make sure we get responses to everyone. Stay tuned for monthly 1-hour installments of Unpacking Endpoint Management starting next month in April. Next up at Tech Takeoff, we have Azure Virtual Desktop for hybrid environments. So thank you, everyone. We hope you have a wonderful week.
Thanks, everybody. See y'all. Have a good one.